Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're tackling a topic that's literally reshaping how successful companies operate: real-world AI implementation. Not the sci-fi hype, the actual blueprints. And right out of the gate, we're going to bust a massive myth. You know the one, the idea that AI is here to just wholesale replace human jobs? By the end of this explainer, you'll see exactly why that premise is completely backward, and how the smartest companies out there are actually using AI to elevate their human workforce.
Okay, let's dive into this. 100,000. That is the number of highly complex proprietary internal documents that were just sitting in Morgan Stanley's research library. I mean, think about that scale. Before AI, they had over 16,000 financial advisors fielding questions from clients every day. And to find the answers, these folks had to manually dig through this massive, fragmented mountain of PDFs, market commentary, and investment strategy notes. It was a painfully high-friction process that was completely bottlenecking their absolute smartest people.
Now, let's pivot immediately to a completely different industry, GIFTHEALTH. They're a rapidly growing specialty pharmacy platform doing great work removing barriers to prescription care. But they were scaling so incredibly fast that their leadership team looked at the growth projections and realized something terrifying. They were going to need 2,000 call center agents within 2 years just to keep up with inbound patient calls. And building and managing a call center of that size, it's a monumental, wildly expensive undertaking.
So here's the core thesis of our entire explainer today. Morgan Stanley didn't replace a single financial advisor, and GIFTHEALTH didn't replace a single clinical pharmacist. Neither replaced a single human job. They just stopped making humans do robot work. The most successful AI deployments we see are surgical. They target predictable, repetitive tasks, completely freeing up the human to focus on what humans actually do best.
Block 1. Morgan Stanley and the search workflow.
To truly understand Morgan Stanley's success, we really have to look at their workflow. Before AI, when an advisor got a client question, it took 20 to 30 minutes to hunt through databases, read the reports, and extract the answer. Because of all that friction, only about 20% of their document library was ever even accessed. They realized the advisor wasn't the problem, right? The search process was. So they partnered up with OpenAI and built Ask Research GPT, an AI designed specifically for that repetitive layer of retrieval.
Now, what's truly fascinating here is the strict boundary Morgan Stanley drew. They deliberately kept the decision-making, the actual trading, and the client interactions completely in the human's hands. No exceptions. The AI simply acts as a retrieval assistant. It reads the documents, it drafts a summary with citations, and that's it. The advisor then reads that summary, applies their professional judgment, and speaks directly to the client. The user is the ultimate guardrail.
And the result of this surgical automation is nothing short of dramatic. Because the friction of searching was eliminated, document access across the firm saw a massive jump, from just 20% up to 80%. Today, 98% of their advisor teams are using these Gen AI tools. Instead of spending half an hour hunting for a PDF, those 16,000 advisors are now spending that time deepening client relationships and actively managing portfolios. It's a real game changer.
Let's move to Block 2, GIFTHEALTH, and see how this builds. Transitioning to the vastly different, highly regulated industry of healthcare, GIFTHEALTH faced a different bottleneck but a remarkably similar solution. Their initial manual workflow required a human to answer every single inbound phone call, every single one. But when they sat down and mapped their call types, they discovered up to 50% were entirely routine, like just checking a balance. So they categorized their inbound calls into 2 buckets, routine and judgment required, and they deployed Retail AI as the first line of defense exclusively for that routine bucket.
Now, they didn't just build one giant, confusing chatbot that tries to do everything. They deployed 3 distinct AI voice agents, and each one strictly owns a single repetitive task. Agent 1 handles inbound balance queries, Agent 2 makes outbound payment collections, and Agent 3, it actually calls insurance companies, navigates their automated menus, and waits on hold. I mean, it literally saves a human from that particular kind of torture, only transferring to a GIFTHEALTH rep when a real insurance agent finally picks up.
But just like Morgan Stanley, GIFTHEALTH drew a hard line to protect the human element. For complex cases, serious clinical questions, after-hours emergencies, or honestly any situation requiring medical expertise and empathy, the AI immediately escalates the call to a human pharmacist or representative. The AI operates strictly within the guardrails of its provided knowledge base. The second a query falls outside those bounds, human judgment takes over instantly.
And here is the stunning result of that strategy. GIFTHEALTH achieved a 4 times multiplier on their operational efficiency. After just 8 weeks of training, the AI was completely resolving 45 to 50% of all issues without ever touching a human. In just 6 months, they were able to support a 200% increase in their patient user base using only half of their original operational staff. Let's just say, no one there is planning a 2,000-person call center anymore.
Block 3. The pattern and shared AI DNA. So, the crucial point is that both of these vastly different companies took the exact same 4 steps to achieve their incredible results. Number 1, they didn't just go out and buy shiny AI software. They mapped their actual human workflows first. Number 2, they found the hidden repetitive layer. Number 3, they built the absolute simplest, most targeted AI specifically for that layer. And number 4, they strictly kept humans in the judgment seat.
Block 4. The hands-on guide.
If you're watching this and wondering how to replicate the success in your own organization, this is exactly where you start. Step 1. Before you write a single line of code, shadow the workflow in real time. Literally sit with the people doing the work. Step 2 is to build a level 0 to level 2 map. Level 0 is the big picture. Level 1 is the sub-process. Level 2 is the granular detail. We're talking the exact clicks, the exact screens, and the exact words they say. And this brilliantly illustrates the next step. Once mapped, you take every single task and tag it by its specific decision type. For example, looking up a patient? Yes, it's highly repetitive, and no, it requires zero judgment. Escalating a clinical issue? No, it's not repetitive at all, and yes, it requires intense human medical authority. You absolutely must categorize every single action in the workflow exactly this way.
Once everything is tagged, you walk through and match the tasks to the exact right layer of automation. If a task is fully repetitive with structured data, you just use standard workflow automation. Keep it simple. If it requires reading, summarizing, or generating text, like Morgan Stanley's research, you use generative AI. But if the task requires authority, accountability, or complex judgment, you assign that to human only. You strictly reserve judgment for your people.
Here's the final piece of the implementation guide. Build the absolute simplest thing first. Morgan Stanley actually ran a year-long pilot with just a few hundred advisors to perfect the system before rolling it out to 16,000. You really have to start small with a single task, run the AI in parallel with your human workers to compare the results, and rigorously validate its accuracy against a golden dataset of perfect real-world examples before you ever attempt to scale it up.
As we begin to wrap up this explainer, we really need to challenge a fundamentally flawed premise. When most business leaders approach this technology, they start by asking, where can AI help our business? That is way too broad. It's totally unfocused, and honestly, it usually leads to buying expensive tools that no one actually uses. Or worse, tools that try to replace human judgment and fail miserably. Instead, here is the magic question we should all be asking. What in this system is predictable, repetitive, and low risk enough to stop making a human do? Morgan Stanley asked this and found their answer buried in document search. GIFTHEALTH asked this and found it in routine balance check phone calls. And the reality is, every single business has this exact same thing hidden somewhere in their operations. It might be in how you process invoices, how you answer customer emails, or how you compile weekly reports. There is a repetitive layer in your organization right now that is literally burning up the time and energy of your smartest people. Your job isn't to replace those people. Your job is to find that repetitive layer and automate it so they can do their best work.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. If you want the incredible efficiency gains of a Morgan Stanley or GIFTHEALTH, you cannot skip the hard work of understanding your own operations. Look closely at your team tomorrow. What robot work are your smartest humans doing right now? Find that hidden repetitive layer, map it first, then build.